Really, it comes down to choice, not chance. It comes down to choice. What do I choose to believe? Because what I choose to believe, then I choose to be living. That determines my efficacy. It determines my level of engagement, my motivation. It determines how I perceive the future, and then how Hello, my friend, and welcome to this Friday episode of A Call to Leadership. I'm Dr. Nate Saul, your host, and I'm so glad you are here. Every Friday, we work on one tool for your leadership tool belt so that you can aim for greatness, not to be served, but to serve others. That's the mandate of effective leadership. And today, one way we're going to talk about serving others, so special, is how we manage crisis. You know, as a leader, one of the aspects of leadership, one of the benefits, one of the blessings of leadership is embracing our followers when there is crisis. And crisis is coming. One day, there will be a challenge that was unforeseen, whether it be personal, whether it be professional. And as leaders, we have very specific roles and responsibilities, very specific ways that we impart leadership so that we can maintain the relationships, so that we can maintain the integrity of our leadership, so that we can continue to foster the collective ability of our group, our team, so that we can foster progress. So what happens when we're faced with major conflict that results in some kind of a crisis? Say it be someone in your camp and something happens that's beyond your control, something that happens beyond your purview. For example, say someone passes away. This actually happened recently to me. One of my members of my team had a death in the family, and this happens all around us, right? People are constantly dying. And if you haven't heard my episodes on having a perspective that recognizes that you have one moment in time that's guaranteed in this moment, because one moment, someone's having their unexpected last moment. And so embrace the possibilities in this moment, but also have a moment when someone loses someone, to give them a sense of stability, because leadership involves stability. We don't always have the answers, and that's okay. It's okay to not have the answers. When I took the phone call and one of my people sadly had a passing, have empathy. Just listen. You don't have to solve the problem, fix the problem. There's nothing that's going to fix it sometimes. But that person knowing that you care, that you're there for them, that you support them, that you'll be there, that you want to take whatever it is that's on their plate, off their plate for those moments so that they can grieve, so they can identify what's next, so they can work through the shock of the moment, and just allow them the freedom and the space so that they can process and have the compassion to share in the moment and to let them know that you're not going anywhere. Those moments, friend, are the moments that further galvanize and connect our relationships. They show that as leaders, we have more than just the business mission at heart. We have our values. And if one of your values is not having caring and compassion and empathy wrapped up into your leadership model, I would encourage you to revisit those values. I would encourage you to rethink and reframe some of your principles on leadership, because crisis is coming. That might be a personal crisis. There may be business crises. Another situation recently happened. One of my students had an issue where several of that company's employees, there was a break where those employees were lost. Excuse me. And it was a major crisis. And as a coach, as a leader, I had to help this individual walk through the situation. I don't have all the answers, but we walk through, okay, what are some of the things that we want to happen through this? What are some of the things we can learn through this? And then let's create a strategy rationally, logically, even in the moment, to say, what is it that I have to do to continue my operations? If I've lost a key person, how can I possibly mend that relationship? What can I do to walk in humility, but also to walk in strength, in resolve? And then start taking those steps. Crisis is coming. It's inevitable. And so as we move forward, we think, okay, I know that crisis is coming. Sometimes as a leader, crisis is not coming in the lives of those who I am called to lead. Sometimes it's in my own life. And you know this. If you're a human being, you've faced a major issue in your life. And how we handle those issues will be the defining factor of whether we continue to move forward or we give up. And remember, friend, there's really a focus on how we view the future, which designs and defines our steps. You see, we can view the future as hopeless. And that's bleak. That's dark. That is without any possibility for progress. Or we can view the future as hopeful. And that is bright. That is connected. That is full of the possibilities. And really it comes down to choice, not chance. It comes down to choice. What do I choose to believe? Because what I choose to believe, then I choose to be living. And that determines my efficacy. It determines my level of engagement, my motivation. It determines how I perceive the future. And then how I perceive the future will determine the effort that I put forth. And the effort that I put forth is directly related to the outcomes. In other words, if I put forth very little effort, then I will have very little results that manifest. If I put forth all my possible effort, then I will have all the possible possibilities that will result to that. So if you think it through, you really have no option, right? The choice is very clear that I must put forth all my effort to accomplish and achieve my goals. No matter how bleak it looks right now, I must press on. As it's been said, never, never, never give up. You say, well, Nate, what if this strategy, this plight is fruitless? That doesn't mean you don't reevaluate your strategy. That doesn't mean you don't possibly take another path. If that path is impeded and there's no way through it, sometimes you have to go around it. Sometimes you have to regroup. Sometimes you just have to wait. Having patience for the correct and most opportune moment to arise. Sometimes you have to go back into discovery mode. Remember, leadership is discovery, influence, and achievement of shared purpose. If I'm having difficulty in steps 2 and 3, which are influence and achievement, I've got to go back to step 1, discovery. Anytime that I'm facing a crisis situation and I'm unable to influence a better future, I have to then step into discovery again, discover what the possibilities are, have conversations. I just had a conversation today with one of my students who's having a situation. Not necessarily a crisis. Well, described it as a crisis. But it's not on the major end of a crisis, but a crisis enough. And we have this conversation. And my student actually said, hey, look, I didn't really want to talk with you about this. I'm like, why wouldn't you? After we had our conversation, we illuminated through discovery some action items, some steps to take. Are we having those conversations? I can't stress enough in a crisis the value of community. When you're facing a high challenge situation and it seems bleak, reach out to those mentors, to those individuals with wisdom, time in the saddle, so to speak, right? People who have been down the road. You say, Nate, I don't know anyone like that. Reach out, find someone. Don't wait, don't delay. You say, Nate, I don't even know how to find someone. Well, there's different ways to find people. One, you can find people if you're involved on social media. Hey, throw a life vest out and say, I need help. Here's my struggle. I need someone who's been through this to just have a conversation with me. You say, Nate, that's pretty transparent. That's pretty vulnerable. Well, desperate times, crisis situations require vulnerability. And that vulnerability is not a weakness. It's not a liability. It's a strength. Now you say, well, I don't want people knowing all my secrets. No, you don't have to go into all the depth. Explain broadly a situation. I'm facing an issue. Is there anyone who's been down this road and overcome? You'd be surprised. You say, Nate, I'm not on social media. Okay. Then there are mentors from afar. There are people who have been through these situations, who have a podcast, who have a book, who have written articles. Those individuals you can reach out to via the material they've written. And you may even be surprised by reaching out in other ways. In other words, saying, hey, I read your book and I'm curious. Hey, can I talk with you about this situation? You say, Nate, that's a long shot. That's okay. That's the model for getting things done. You've got to go outside of what you call your box, out of your comfort zone, and reach out and find people. People connect people. We are the glue. Join a network. Get involved with a community. Local church, spiritual formation, some group that can help walk you through your crisis. You'd be so surprised at the power of people. Now, the other thing you can do, and something I do often, if you're a person of faith, you can pray. Prayer works. You say, Nate, I don't know. My prayers never get answered. Sometimes it's like this. Yes, no, wait. And sometimes meditation, just relaxing, thinking through, deep breaths, going exercising, having just a walk, taking some time to think. You'd be surprised how much you can overcome. Having a conversation with your kids. You'd be surprised also just how much kids know and how much they know about us and how much they can help us walk through our own challenges. And here's the other thing, is that we're human. It's okay to feel some stress. It's okay to feel down. Just don't stay there. Allow those emotions to work into emotions that move into resolve and courage and hopefulness and optimism of what can be. But don't do it alone. As a leader, sometimes we have to follow. And when we think about it, who is it in my life who has stability, who I can reach out to, and perhaps they can just share a word of encouragement? Maybe they don't have all the answers. Maybe they're not supposed to. Maybe they're just there to listen. How about that? When we face a crisis, whether it be a follower, whether it be a friend, whether it be us, remember, there's always hope. There's always hope. As long as we have breath to breathe, there's always hope. Thank you for joining me, my friend. Just a word of encouragement. If you're facing a crisis right now, don't give up. Well, my friend, I am so thrilled that you joined me on this episode of A Call to Leadership. And before you go to the next episode, especially if you're binge listening, take a moment. I would love to get your honest review right here on your screen. Your feedback is so important. It helps the podcast, it encourages me, and it helps me. It helps me to give you more and more and more value. So I can't wait to read your review. I can't wait to be with you on the next episode. I'm Dr. Nate Sala. This is A Call to Leadership.